The message came at exactly 3 in the morning, Earth Standard Time. Every screen on the planet flickered once, then showed the same image. A tall creature with gray skin and 4 eyes stared into the camera. Its voice was cold and emotionless. "Humans of Earth, I am Ambassador Vorath of the Galactic Council. You have been judged. Your species is too violent, too unpredictable, and too dangerous. The Council has voted. You have 12 hours to surrender your planet and all military assets. If you refuse, we will take them by force. This is not a negotiation. This is your only warning." The screens went dark. In Seoul, Admiral Yuna Park was already awake. She had not slept well in months. Something in the stars had felt wrong to her. And now she understood why. She stood in her office at Earth Defense Command, watching the message replay on her tablet. Her face showed no fear. Her eyes showed no surprise. She had prepared for this moment her entire career. Yuna was 53 years old. Her hair was gray at the edges, and her hands were rough from years of hard work. She had started as a simple soldier and climbed through the ranks with determination and intelligence. Now she commanded Earth's entire defense network. It was a job she had never wanted, but had always been ready for. She pressed a button on her desk. "Get me Commander Taeho and Officer Hana. Now." Within 10 minutes, both of them stood in her office. Commander Taeho Lee was a tall man with a calm face. He was 40 years old and had spent 20 of those years in space. He knew every ship in Earth's fleet by name. He knew their strengths and their weaknesses. More importantly, he knew how to use them. Strategic Officer Hana Kim was younger, only 32. But her mind was sharper than anyone Yuna had ever met. Hana could look at a battlefield and see patterns that others missed. She could predict enemy movements before they happened. Some people called her a genius. She called herself lucky. "You saw the message," Yuna said. "It was not a question." Taeho nodded. "The whole world saw it. People are scared." "They should be," Hana said quietly. "The Galactic Council controls over 200 species. Their fleet has thousands of warships. Our public fleet has 47. "Public fleet," Yuna repeated. A small smile crossed her face. "Yes. Our public fleet." Taeho and Hana exchanged looks. They both understood what she meant. For the past 60 years, ever since humanity first detected signals from other civilizations, Earth's governments had worked together on a secret project. They knew that one day, they might face a threat from the stars. They knew they might be alone against an entire galaxy. So they prepared. Project Aurora was born in secret. It was hidden from the public, hidden from journalists, hidden from everyone except a small group of trusted people. Trillions of dollars flowed into black budgets. The brightest scientists worked in underground labs. The bravest soldiers trained in simulation chambers that recreated alien combat. And slowly, piece by piece, humanity built something extraordinary. "Is Aurora ready?" Yuna asked. Hana pulled out her tablet and checked the latest reports. "All platforms are online. The quantum links are stable. We can activate the network with a single command." "What about the response time?" Taeho asked. "Less than 4 seconds from activation to full deployment," Hana said. "The Council won't even see it coming." Yuna walked to her window and looked out at the night sky. Somewhere up there, a massive alien fleet was approaching. Somewhere up there, creatures who had never met a human had decided that humanity deserved to die. They had made a terrible mistake. "The Council thinks we are weak," Yuna said softly. "They think we are primitive. They look at our public ships and laugh. They see our short history and assume we are children." She turned back to face her officers. Her eyes were hard now, filled with a fire that made both Taeho and Hana stand straighter. "They do not know what we survived to get here," she continued. "They do not know about our wars, our plagues, our disasters. They do not know that humanity has faced extinction a dozen times and refused to die. They think 12 hours is generous. They think we will crumble and beg." Yuna shook her head slowly. "We will not beg, we will not surrender, and we will not need 12 hours. Taeho stepped forward. "Admiral, what are your orders?" Yuna sat down at her desk and began typing on her computer. Across the world, secure channels opened. Military leaders from every nation received encrypted messages. Presidents and prime ministers were woken from their sleep. The machinery of human defense began to move. First, we let them think they have won, Yuna said. We send no response to their ultimatum. We make no military movements they can detect. Our public fleet stays in dock. To the Council, it will look like we are paralyzed by fear. And in reality? Hana asked. In reality, we position Aurora. We run final checks on every platform. We synchronize our targeting systems with their fleet's projected position. And we wait. Tejo frowned slightly. Wait for what? Yuna looked at him with that small, dangerous smile again. We wait for them to enter our trap. The Council expects us to fall in hours. They will give us 12. But when the time comes, we will need only minutes. She stood up and pulled on her uniform jacket. The stars on her collar gleamed in the office light. Contact all Aurora stations. Tell them to prepare for activation. And someone get me a cup of coffee. It's going to be a very short war. Outside, the world was waking up to fear. People watched the news and held their families close. Governments made public statements about diplomacy and hope. Religious leaders called for prayer. Everyone believed that the end was near. They did not know that their leaders had spent 60 years preparing for exactly this moment. They did not know about the weapons hidden in the shadows of moons and asteroids. They did not know that humanity's greatest secret was about to be revealed. And most importantly, they did not know that by this time tomorrow, the galaxy would finally understand why you should never, ever underestimate humans. Admiral Yuna Park knew all of these things. And as she sipped her coffee and watched the countdown clock on her wall, she felt something she had not felt in a very long time. She felt proud to be human. Ambassador Vorith stood in the center of the council chamber, his 4 eyes scanning the massive room with satisfaction. The chamber was built to impress and intimidate. Its walls stretched up for hundreds of meters, covered in screens that showed the flags and symbols of over 200 member species. Each species had its own section of seats, arranged in a great circle around the central platform where Vorith now stood. Today, the chamber was full. Every species had sent their representatives. They all wanted to watch the humans fall. Vorith was a Korath, a species known for their intelligence and their cruelty. The Korath had joined the council 3,000 years ago, and they had spent every century since then climbing to power. Now Vorith was the council's voice, its face, its weapon. When the council wanted something done, Vorith made it happen. And today, the council wanted humanity destroyed. Fellow members of the Galactic Council, Vorith began, his voice echoing through the chamber. In less than 10 hours, the human problem will be solved forever. A wave of clicking, hissing, and humming sounds filled the room. This was how the various species expressed approval. Vorith waited for silence, then continued. Our scouts have studied Earth for many cycles. The humans are exactly what we expected. They are violent, chaotic, and divided. Their nations cannot agree on simple matters. They fight wars over land and resources. They poison their own planet with pollution. He gestured to one of the screens, which now showed images of Earth's military forces. Tanks rolled across deserts. Jets flew over mountains. Ships sailed on blue oceans. This is what they call their military might, Vorith said with clear contempt. Chemical rockets. Metal projectiles. Primitive nuclear weapons that they are too afraid to use. Our analysis shows their total space fleet at 47 vessels, most of which cannot even leave their own solar system. Laughter rippled through the chamber. A massive creature with tentacles slapped them against its seat in amusement. A group of insect-like beings made rapid clicking sounds. Even the usually silent rock people vibrated with what might have been joy. We have sent 300 warships, Vorith continued. Each one is equipped with plasma cannons, shield generators, and faster-than-light engines. Each one carries a crew of trained warriors who have conquered dozens of worlds. Against our fleet, the humans have no chance. A thin being with a snake-like body raised one of its hands. This was Ambassador Silith of the Vendra species. Ambassador Vorith, I must ask a question. Why send 300 ships for such a small enemy? Surely 50 would be enough? Vorith nodded. A fair question. The answer is simple. We want to make an example of the humans. Other young species are watching. They must see what happens when a civilization threatens the peace of the galaxy. The humans must fall quickly, completely, and publicly. Another ambassador spoke up. This one was short and covered in blue fur. His name was Brix, and he represented the Molokai traders. What if the humans surrender? They still have time. They will not surrender, Vorith said confidently. Our psychologists have studied them. Humans have what they call pride. Even when they face certain death, they refuse to admit defeat. It is one of their many weaknesses. He walked slowly around the platform, making eye contact with different ambassadors as he spoke. Make no mistake, my friends. The humans are dangerous. Not because of their weapons or their ships, but because of their nature. They adapt too quickly. They breed too fast. They spread like a disease. If we allowed them to continue growing, they might become a real threat in a few thousand years. The chamber grew quieter. This was the real reason for the attack, and everyone knew it. So we will end them now, Vorith said. While they are still weak. While they are still contained on their single planet. It is the smart choice. It is the safe choice. And in 10 hours, it will be done. A Korath officer entered the chamber and approached Vorith. He whispered something, and Vorith's thin mouth stretched into what passed for a smile among his people. I have just received word from our fleet commander, Vorith announced. The humans have sent no response to our ultimatum. Their public fleet has not moved from its position. Their communications suggest panic and confusion among their leaders. More sounds of approval filled the chamber. They are paralyzed by fear, Vorith said with satisfaction. As we predicted. The mighty humans, with all their pride and all their violence, cannot even muster a response when faced with real power. Ambassador Silith made a hissing sound that indicated curiosity. It does seem strange that they would not even respond. Perhaps they are planning something? Vorith waved one of his forearms dismissively. What could they possibly plan? Their technology is 1,000 years behind ours. Their fleet is meaningless. Their ground forces could not scratch the paint on our ships. He pulled up more data on the central screen. Charts and graphs showed Earth's military assets in detail. We have scanned their entire solar system. There are no hidden bases. No secret weapons. No reinforcements waiting to appear. The humans have nothing except those 47 ships and their primitive planet-based weapons. Brix the Molokai leaned forward. What about their nuclear weapons? I have heard they have many thousands. They do, Vorith admitted. But their nuclear weapons require physical delivery systems, rockets that travel at pathetic speeds. Our ships would destroy them long before they arrived, and even if one somehow reached us, our shields would absorb it easily. He spread all 4 of his arms wide, a gesture of complete confidence. My friends, this war is already won. We are simply waiting for the clock to finish counting down. In a few hours, I will return to this chamber and announce the total surrender of Earth. Their ships will be destroyed, their weapons will be seized, their population will be relocated to work colonies across the galaxy, and humanity will become nothing more than a footnote in history. The chamber erupted in approval. Ambassadors stood up from their seats. Tentacles waved. Wings fluttered. The Galactic Council celebrated its inevitable victory. Only one ambassador remained silent. She was small, with large dark eyes and silver skin. Her name was Tirsa, and she represented the Aven, one of the oldest species in the Council. The Aven had seen many young species come and go. They had learned to never underestimate anyone. Tirsa watched Vorith celebrate with the others, and she felt something cold in her stomach. She had read the same reports about humans. She had seen the same data. But she had also seen something else. She had seen how humans looked at the stars. Other young species looked at the sky with fear or confusion. Humans looked at it with hunger. They wanted to explore, to expand, to conquer. They had walked on their own moon when they barely had computers. They had sent robots to other planets when they still fought with bullets and bombs. That kind of ambition did not come from weakness. It came from something deep and powerful and very, very dangerous. But Tirsa said nothing. The Council had made its decision. The fleet was already approaching Earth. There was nothing she could do except watch and hope that she was wrong. In the celebration around her, no one noticed her silence, no one noticed her worry, and no one noticed that somewhere in the cold space near Earth, something was beginning to move. Deep beneath the mountains of Gangwon Province, far from any city or town, there was a facility that did not exist on any map. The entrance was hidden inside an old mining tunnel. The guards wore no uniforms and carried no visible weapons. To the outside world, this place was nothing more than a boring geological research station. Inside, it was the heart of Project Aurora. Commander Taeho Lee walked through corridors of smooth white metal, his footsteps echoing in the silence. He had been to this facility many times, but it never failed to fill him with awe. The technology here was decades ahead of anything the public knew about. The people who worked here were the best scientists and engineers on Earth, and today, they would show the galaxy what humanity could really do. He entered the main control room, a vast circular space filled with screens and control stations. At the center was a holographic display showing the entire solar system. Blue dots represented human assets. Red dots represented the approaching alien fleet. Officer Hana Kim was already there, standing at the main console with her tablet in hand. She looked up as Taeho approached. "The fleet is ahead of schedule," she said. "They will reach engagement range in 4 hours. How many ships?" Taeho asked. 312, all heavy warships, plus about 100 support vessels. Hana pulled up detailed scans on the display. Their formation is standard: a wall of capital ships in front, smaller ships behind for support. Taeho studied the display. The alien fleet was enormous. Each red dot represented a ship bigger than any Earth had ever built publicly. They moved through space with the confidence of predators who had never met anything they could not kill. They were about to learn a very important lesson. "Show me, Aurora," Taeho said. Hana touched her tablet, and the display changed. Now, it showed thousands of green dots scattered throughout the solar system. They were hidden in the asteroid belt, in the rings of Saturn, in the shadows of moons, in the empty spaces between planets. Some were as small as cars, others were as big as buildings. 8,742 platforms, Hana said, each one equipped with quantum-linked targeting, solar-powered energy cells, and enough firepower to destroy a warship in a single shot. She zoomed in on one of the platforms. It looked simple, just a metal frame with a long barrel and a cluster of solar panels. There were no engines, no crew quarters, no life support. These were not ships. They were weapons, pure and simple. "How does it work?" Taeho asked. He knew the answer, but he wanted to hear it again. He wanted to be sure. Hana understood. Traditional weapons travel through space. They can be seen, tracked, and destroyed. Aurora is different. Our platforms don't fire projectiles. They fire concentrated bursts of quantum-entangled energy. The beam appears at the target instantly, regardless of distance. No travel time. No warning. She pointed at the alien fleet on the display. When we activate Aurora, all 8,000 platforms will fire simultaneously. Each platform is linked to a specific target through quantum entanglement. The aliens will have no time to raise shields, no time to maneuver, no time to respond. One moment they will be flying toward Earth. The next moment, their ships will be dead. Taeho nodded slowly. And our platforms? Can they detect them? No. The platforms are designed to absorb all scanning frequencies. To alien sensors, they look like ordinary rocks or space debris. We have been placing them throughout the solar system for 40 years. They scanned our system and found nothing because they were looking for ships, bases, and traditional weapons. They never thought to look for thousands of tiny guns hidden in the darkness. A new voice spoke from behind them. They made the same mistake that everyone makes. Admiral Yuna Park walked into the control room, followed by a dozen senior officers from different nations. She looked tired, but determined. Her eyes moved across the display, taking in every detail. They underestimated us, she continued. They saw our rockets and our metal ships and thought they understood our capabilities. They did not realize that what we show the public is not what we keep hidden in the shadows. She approached the central console and looked at the holographic display of Aurora. 60 years, she said quietly. 60 years of preparation. Every nation on Earth contributed to this project. We shared technology. We shared resources. We even shared secrets. For the first time in human history, we truly worked together. Because we knew that one day, the stars would bring us enemies. She turned to face the officers behind her. Today is that day. And today, we show the galaxy that humanity is not prey. One of the officers, a general from the United States, stepped forward. Admiral, what about casualties? If we fire on their fleet, they might still get some weapons off. We could lose millions of people. Yuna shook her head. Aurora is designed for total paralysis, not destruction. The quantum beams will target their power systems, weapons, and engines. Their ships will lose all function instantly. Life support will continue on emergency power. The crews will survive. You want to spare them? The general asked, surprised. I want to send a message. Yuna replied. Destroying their fleet would make us their enemy forever. But defeating them without killing their people? That makes us something else entirely. Hana looked up from her console. Admiral, the world leaders are asking for a status update. They want to know if we are really going to do this. Yuna smiled slightly. Tell them that we are. And tell them that by this time tomorrow, humanity will no longer be a small species, hiding on a single planet. We will be a power that the galaxy cannot ignore. She walked to the main command station and sat down. Around her, officers took their positions. Screens flickered with data. The countdown clock on the wall showed 3 hours and 42 minutes remaining. Tae-ho, begin final activation sequence for all Aurora platforms, Yuna ordered. Hana, coordinate with defense grids on Earth. I want every satellite, every ground station, and every ship on full alert. If even one alien weapon fires, I want us ready to protect our people. Both officers responded immediately. The control room became a blur of activity. Messages flew across quantum networks, thousands of kilometers away, hidden in the darkness of space. 8,000 platforms began to warm up their weapons. The alien fleet continued its approach, completely unaware of what waited for them. Vorith had called humanity primitive. He had called them weak. He had said they would fall in hours. He was about to learn how wrong he was. Yuna watched the red dots move closer on the display. She felt no fear. She felt no doubt. She felt only the calm certainty of someone who had trained their entire life for this exact moment. Humanity has spent its entire history fighting itself, she said quietly, to no one in particular. We are very, very good at war. And now, for the first time, we have a real enemy to fight together. She looked at the clock. 3 hours and 39 minutes. Soon, very soon, the galaxy would understand what humanity was truly capable of. Fleet Commander Draxus stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Wrath of Korath. He was a massive creature, even for his species, with gray skin covered in old battle scars. He had commanded fleets for over 200 years. He had conquered 17 worlds. He had never lost a battle. Today would be easy. Status report. He growled at his sensor officer. We are entering the human star system now, Commander. Their inner planets are ahead. Earth is approximately 40 minutes away at current speed. Draxus nodded. Around him, his bridge crew worked at their stations with professional efficiency. The Wrath of Korath was the largest ship in the fleet, carrying over 3,000 warriors and enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Any sign of resistance? Draxus asked. None, Commander. The human fleet remains in orbit around their moon. They have not moved since we entered the system. Draxus made a sound of disgust. Cowards! They see our ships and hide like prey animals. Ambassador Vorith was right. These creatures have no honor. He walked to the front of the bridge and stared out the viewport. Stars stretched out before him. Somewhere ahead, a small blue planet waited to be conquered. Its people waited to become slaves. This would be over in hours. Commander. The sensor officer suddenly sat up straight. I am detecting something strange. Explain, Draxus ordered. There are objects throughout the system, thousands of them, small, metallic. I thought they were asteroids, but they are not moving like natural objects. Draxus frowned. What are they? Before the officer could answer, every screen on the bridge went white. What happened next took exactly 8 minutes. Later, historians would call it the fastest military victory in galactic history. Poets would write about it for centuries. Military academies would study it for thousands of years. But for the crews of 312 alien warships, it was simply the most terrifying 8 minutes of their lives. The first wave came without warning. 8,000 platforms fired simultaneously. Beams of quantum-entangled energy appeared inside engines, inside weapons, inside power cores. There was no flash, no sound, no projectile to track or intercept. One moment, the alien fleet was the most powerful force in the solar system. The next moment, every ship went dark. On the Wrath of Korath, Draxus was thrown to the floor as his entire ship shuddered. Lights flickered and died. Screens went black. The constant hum of the engines, a sound he had heard every day for 200 years, suddenly stopped. What is happening? He roared. Nobody answered. His bridge crew was stumbling around in darkness, trying to find emergency controls. Red emergency lights slowly flickered on, casting everything in a bloody glow. Damage report, Draxus demanded. His engineering officer's voice came through a crackling communicator. Commander. Our main power is gone. All weapons are offline. Engines are dead. Shields are down. How? We were not hit by anything. I do not know, Commander. Whatever they did, it happened inside our systems. Our power cores simply stopped working. Every one of them. At the same time, Draxus pulled himself to his feet and looked out the viewport. What he saw made his blood run cold. Across the entire fleet, ships were drifting without power, running lights were dark, weapons that should have been glowing with energy were silent and dead. 312 warships, the pride of the Galactic Council, had become floating metal coffins. Communication with other ships? Draxus asked, his voice quieter now. Emergency frequencies only, Commander. Everyone is reporting the same thing. Total power failure. No casualties. But no ability to fight or move. No casualties. That detail stuck in Draxus's mind. A weapon that could disable an entire fleet instantly, but did not kill anyone. That was not desperation. That was precision. That was control. That was terrifying. Commander, his sensor officer said weakly. Human ships are approaching. Draxus looked out the viewport again. In the distance, he could see lights moving toward them. Human ships. The same primitive vessels they had laughed at hours ago. Now those ships were the only ones in the system that could still move. Back on Earth, the command center erupted in controlled celebration. Officers shouted reports across the room. Data streamed in from across the solar system. Every single alien ship had been disabled. Not one had escaped. Admiral Una Park sat calmly at her command station, watching the display. The red dots that had represented the alien fleet were now gray. Dead. Harmless. Total system failure confirmed across all enemy vessels, Hana reported. No return fire detected. No human casualties. 8 minutes, Tejo said, shaking his head in amazement. We neutralized the entire fleet in 8 minutes. Una nodded. Send a message to the alien flagship. Standard diplomatic frequency. Let them know we are coming. Across the command center, the message was prepared and sent. It was short and simple. Alien fleet, this is Admiral Una Park of Earth Defense Command. Your ships have been disabled. Your weapons are offline. You have no ability to fight or retreat. Do not be afraid. We are sending vessels to render assistance. We do not wish to harm you. We wish to talk." On the wrath of Korath, Draxus listened to the message with a mixture of shock and disbelief. These humans had just defeated his entire fleet without a single shot being fired back. They had technology that the Galactic Council could not even understand. They could destroy every one of his ships with a thought, and they were offering to help. "Commander," his first officer said quietly, "what do we do?" Draxus was silent for a long moment. He had spent his entire life following the ways of the Korath. Conquer or be conquered. Kill or be killed. There was no room for mercy in war. But the humans had shown mercy. They had won completely, utterly, and totally. And instead of destroying their enemies, they were sending aid. That was either the greatest weakness Draxus had ever seen, or the greatest strength. "We wait," Draxus said finally. "We have no other choice." He sat down heavily in his command chair and stared at the dark screens around him. Hours ago, he had expected to conquer a primitive world. Now he was sitting powerless in space, waiting for those same primitives to come rescue him. Ambassador Vorith had been wrong about everything. The humans were not weak. They were not primitive. They were not prey. They were something far, far more dangerous. They were humans. And Draxus was beginning to understand that the galaxy had just changed forever. The shuttle docked with the wrath of Korath without incident. Admiral Una Park stood at the front of a small delegation, waiting for the airlock to open. Behind her stood Commander Teho, Officer Hana, and 4 guards carrying no weapons. This was a deliberate choice. Una wanted the aliens to see that humanity came in peace. She wanted them to understand that the same species who had just destroyed their fleet could also extend a hand in friendship. The airlock hissed open. Red emergency lights illuminated a corridor filled with alien soldiers. They were huge, twice the size of any human, with gray skin and 4 eyes that reflected the dim light. They carried weapons, but those weapons hung at their sides, useless without power. Una stepped forward without hesitation. "I am Admiral Una Park," she said. Her voice was calm and steady. "I wish to speak with your commander." The aliens parted, creating a path through the corridor. At the end stood Fleet Commander Draxus, still wearing his battle armor, still carrying his ceremonial blade. He was the largest creature Una had ever seen in person. He could have crushed her with one hand, but he did not move to attack. He simply watched her approach with those 4 unblinking eyes. "You are the one who defeated us," Draxus said. His voice was deep and rough, translated through a device on his collar. "Yes," Una replied simply. "How?" "We scanned your entire system. We found nothing." Una smiled slightly. "You found what we wanted you to find. Our public ships. Our visible defenses. You never thought to look for what we had hidden, the objects in space. The ones that killed our power." "They did not kill anything," Una corrected him. "They disabled. There is a difference. Your crew is alive. Your ships can be repaired. We chose not to destroy you." Draxus stared at her for a long moment. In all his years of conquest, no enemy had ever shown such restraint. Mercy was weakness in Korath culture. But standing here, surrounded by his helpless fleet, Draxus was beginning to see it differently. "Why?" he asked. "You had every reason to kill us all. We came to conquer your world. We came to enslave your people, because you did not know any better." Una said. "You looked at us and saw prey. You saw a young species that could be easily crushed. You were wrong. But I understand why you believed it. The galaxy has always worked that way. The strong take from the weak." She stepped closer to Draxus, showing no fear despite the massive creature towering over her. "But humanity is different. We know what it means to be conquered. We know what it means to suffer. We spent thousands of years hurting each other before we finally learned a better way. Now we choose to break the cycle." Draxus made a sound that might have been disbelief. "You would spare your enemies? Even when you have total victory?" "We would do more than spare you," Una said. "We would offer you friendship." The word hung in the air, Around them, alien soldiers shifted uncomfortably. The concept was so foreign to them that they did not know how to react. "The Galactic Council sent you to destroy us," Yuna continued. "They feared what we might become. But here is the truth, Commander. We do not want to conquer the galaxy. We do not want to dominate other species. We want something far more valuable." "And what is that?" Draxus asked. "Partners, allies, friends." Yuna gestured around at the disabled ship. "Look at what we could have done today. We could have destroyed your fleet and killed everyone aboard. We could have sent your weapons back at the Council and started a war that would burn across the galaxy. Instead, we chose mercy. We chose to show you that there is another way." She pulled out a small device from her pocket. It was a data chip, containing information that would change everything. "This chip contains the technical specifications for our quantum communication network. It will allow instant communication across any distance. We offer it to the Council as a gift, along with our proposal for a new alliance." Draxus took the chip carefully. It was tiny in his massive hand. "The Council will never accept this. They fear you too much now." "Then let them fear us," Yuna said. "But let them also know that we prefer friendship to war. Let them know that humanity will defend itself against any threat, but we will never attack first. Let them know that the galaxy has a new power, and that power wants peace." She turned and began walking back toward the airlock. Then she stopped and looked over her shoulder. "You have a choice, Commander. You can return to the Council and tell them to keep fearing us. You can encourage them to build bigger fleets and stronger weapons. You can continue the cycle of conquest and destruction that has defined your civilization for thousands of years." She paused. "Or you can tell them the truth. You can tell them that you met the humans, and they were not monsters. You can tell them that we defeated you completely, and then helped you survive. You can tell them that maybe, just maybe, there is a better way to live among the stars." Draxus stood silent for a long moment. His soldiers watched him, waiting to see what their legendary commander would do. Finally, he spoke. "I have fought many wars," he said slowly. "I have conquered many worlds. I have killed more enemies than I can count. I always believed that power was the only thing that mattered. That mercy was weakness." He looked down at the data chip in his hand. "But today, I was defeated by a species that had every reason to destroy me and chose not to. Today, I learned that true power is not just the ability to kill. It is the ability to choose not to." He straightened up and met Yuna's eyes. "I will deliver your message to the Council, Admiral. I will tell them what happened here. And I will tell them that the humans are not our enemies." He paused, then added something that surprised even himself. "I will tell them that the humans could be the best friends the galaxy has ever had, if we are smart enough to accept their offer." Yuna nodded. "Thank you, Commander. I hope we will meet again, under better circumstances." She turned and walked through the airlock with her delegation. The shuttle detached and flew back toward the human fleet. Behind it, the disabled alien ships continued to drift, waiting for repairs that would come from both human and alien engineers working together. In the council chamber, Ambassador Vorith watched the reports come in with growing horror. Total defeat, no casualties, an offer of friendship. Everything he had believed about humans had been wrong. Ambassador Tirsa, the ancient Aven who had remained silent during the celebration, approached him quietly. "I tried to warn you," she said softly. "The humans were never prey. They were waiting, learning, preparing, and now they have shown us what they really are." "What are they?" Vorith asked, his voice hollow. Tirsa looked at the images of the disabled fleet, surrounded by human ships that could have destroyed them, but chose to save them instead. "They are exactly what they always claimed to be," she said. "They are human. And now the galaxy will have to decide whether to fear them or follow them." She walked away, leaving Vorith alone with his failure. Back on Earth, Admiral Yuna Park returned to a world transformed. The fear that had gripped humanity for 12 hours had turned into something else. Pride. Hope. Unity. For the first time in history, every nation celebrated together. Every language spoke the same words, every heartbeat with the same feeling. Humanity had faced the stars and won, not through destruction, not through conquest, but through something far more powerful, through being exactly who they were, through being human. Yuna stood at her window and watched the celebrations below. She was tired. She was old. But she had never been more proud. The galaxy had expected humanity to fall in hours. Humanity had ended the conflict in minutes. And tomorrow, they would begin building something new. A future where humanity stood among the stars. Not as conquerors, but as friends. It was, Yuna thought, exactly what being human was all about.